The modern world thrives on intricate, global interconnectedness. Our daily lives are deeply intertwined with a vast international network of commerce. Goods traverse continents, connecting producers and consumers across immense distances. This intricate system underpins our modern economic reality. We routinely consume items sourced from diverse corners of the planet. From our morning coffee to our evening electronics, the origins of our possessions are often distant and varied. This widespread consumption often occurs without a thorough understanding of its broader implications. The perceived benefits of imported goods, such as convenience and competitive pricing, are undeniable attractions. However, this perspective often overlooks a multifaceted array of associated costs. These expenses extend far beyond the immediate financial outlay we make at the point of purchase. Some costs are immediately apparent, directly affecting our personal budgets and financial well-being, yet many others remain hidden from plain view, externalized, and often absorbed by society or the environment. These unseen costs impact our collective future in profound and often underestimated ways. A primary and significant cost factor in the production of imported goods is the labor involved in manufacturing them. The global supply chain is constantly seeking efficiencies, and labor expenditure is a major component of this equation. This pursuit drives many decisions about where items are made. A substantial proportion of imported goods originates from countries with significantly lower labor costs. This disparity in wages allows manufacturers to produce items at a fraction of the expense compared to higher wage economies. The economic incentive for this model is clear. However, this relentless pursuit of cheap labor can carry severe ethical repercussions. It often leads to the exploitation of workers, with inadequate pay, long hours, and hazardous working conditions. These human costs are rarely reflected in the final retail price. Beyond labor, manufacturers frequently seek the cheapest available raw materials to further reduce production expenses. This strategy prioritizes cost-cutting over other considerations in the supply chain. The selection of materials is a critical determinant of product integrity. This approach can directly result in products of demonstrably lower quality. Goods may have a shorter functional lifespan, requiring replacement sooner than well-made alternatives. Such decisions prioritize initial affordability over long-term durability. The cycle of low-quality goods contributes significantly to increased global consumption and a burgeoning waste problem. Products designed for obsolescence drive continuous purchasing, straining resources. This pattern perpetuates a demand for more cheap imports. The vast distances goods must travel across the globe incur significant environmental costs. Every step of the journey, from factory to consumer, contributes to a collective ecological footprint. The logistics of international trade are energy-intensive. Carbon emissions from international shipping, air freight, and ground transportation are major contributors to global climate change. Massive container ships and cargo planes release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. This constant movement leaves a substantial environmental mark. This ongoing environmental degradation represents a cost borne by the entire planet and its inhabitants. The consequences, such as rising sea levels, extreme weather, and biodiversity loss, affect everyone. These collective burdens are not factored into the individual product price. Imported goods often enter markets priced to significantly undercut domestic producers. They benefit from lower production costs and economies of scale. This aggressive pricing strategy can create an uneven playing field for local businesses. This intense competitive pressure frequently leads to job losses within local industries. Domestic manufacturers struggle to compete with cheaper imports. Workers in these sectors face unemployment and economic instability. Consequently, economic hardship can be inflicted upon domestic sectors and entire communities. Businesses may close, skills may be lost, and local economies can stagnate. The ripple effect extends throughout the affected regions. Furthermore, a heavy reliance on imports can profoundly threaten a nation's local food security. If a country depends predominantly on external sources for staples, it becomes vulnerable. Geopolitical events or supply chain disruptions can then cause severe shortages. The price consumers pay at the checkout counter represents only a fraction of an item's true, comprehensive cost. This transaction merely covers immediate production, transportation, and retail margins. It omits many broader implications. Hidden costs include extensive environmental damage and pervasive social consequences throughout the supply chain. These are externalized expenses, borne not by the producer or consumer, but by communities, ecosystems, and future generations. The market price does not account for these impacts. Long-term economic effects, such as the erosion of domestic industries or the increased burden on public services, are also often not factored into the retail price. These societal costs manifest over time. They represent a significant deferred expense. These externalized costs are frequently overlooked or deliberately ignored in consumer purchasing decisions. The immediate appeal of a low price often overshadows deeper considerations. This narrow focus prevents a full understanding of an item's impact. The disposal of imported goods, particularly those with short lifespans, significantly exacerbates the global waste problem. Products designed for quick replacement rapidly contribute to landfills and pollution. This cycle creates persistent environmental challenges. This places a significant and ongoing strain on natural resources and contributes directly to widespread pollution. Manufacturing new items requires raw materials and energy, while disposal contaminates land, air, and water. The demand for constant new products fuels this depletion. The financial burden of managing this ever-growing volume of waste is often passed on to taxpayers. Local municipalities and governments bear the costs of collection, processing, and disposal. These expenses are ultimately funded by the public. Consumer priorities, often heavily focused on immediate price and convenience, create a profound disconnect. The ease of acquisition and perceived affordability drive purchasing habits. These factors often override other critical considerations. This disconnect exists between immediate consumption habits and the full long-term impact of the goods we acquire. Shoppers may not fully grasp the ethical, environmental, or social consequences of their choices. This gap in understanding is a systemic issue. Globalization has undeniably created both beneficiaries and those who disproportionately bear the brunt of negative consequences. While some profit immensely from global trade, others experience job displacement, environmental degradation, or social disruption. This imbalance can lead to significant economic inequality. The relentless pursuit of profit by some entities can lead to a deliberate disregard for vital environmental regulations. Companies may prioritize financial gain over ecological preservation. This behavior causes widespread ecosystem damage and undermines sustainability efforts. The digital age has profoundly accelerated global trade, amplifying both its undeniable benefits and its inherent costs. E-commerce platforms and rapid shipping have made international goods more accessible than ever. This speed intensifies both positive and negative effects. This acceleration makes ethical considerations within global supply chains more complex and urgent. The speed and scale of modern trade demand greater scrutiny and accountability. The consequences of unchecked consumption are amplified across the planet. The prevailing assumption that cheaper goods are inherently beneficial is often profoundly misleading. This perspective fails to account for the comprehensive impact of our purchasing decisions. A narrow focus on price obscures the larger picture. The true cost of imported goods extends far beyond the monetary price tag we pay. It encompasses a broad spectrum of impacts, including irreversible environmental degradation, pervasive social injustice, and significant long-term economic instability. These are systemic issues linked to global consumption patterns. This reality necessitates a fundamental reevaluation of our consumption habits and priorities. We must move beyond superficial price comparisons to consider the full life cycle and impact of products. Informed choices are paramount for a sustainable future. Making informed choices is crucial for building a more sustainable and equitable global economy. Consumers, businesses, and policymakers all have a role to play in recognizing these hidden costs. Our collective decisions will shape the future of trade and our planet.